Happy Curriculum Night. I'm Brian Davidson. I am the 6th grade gifted math teacher for Gold and Maroon. I'm going to go through this super quick. I've tried 3 times now to try to get in the 5 minutes, so we're going to try really hard to make sure we get into that time frame. But to start up a little bit about myself, I tell all my students I too was born and raised in Libertyville. I just went to St. Joe's kindergarten through 8th grade, but I played my JLSA soccer since I was 4 and Lady Cats basketball and did all those things. My parents still live in Libertyville, and we recently moved back to Libertyville because my son just turned 5.5 now and he's starting kindergarten virtually through Rockland. So I wanted him in District 70 with me. So, and then I have a daughter, 3.5, and then the baby just turned 9 months old the week that school started. This is my 13th year teaching. It's my 9th year here at Highland. Here at Highland, I have taught math, science, and health. So if you've got older siblings, they may have had me for other sections or content areas. I got 2 bachelor's degrees from Winona State University. The first was in health, exercise, and rehabilitative sciences for exercise science, and then I was also in K through 6 education with a middle school math specialty. So I used to teach during the day and then work as an athletic trainer after school or as a strength and conditioning coach in the weight room and things like that. But that's what gave me my licensures to teach math, science, health, and PE. And then I also have a master's degree in educational technology from Concordia University. So hopefully that helps me with all the technology in e-school and e-learning. For the gifted mathematics, you can see here all of the topics that we are going to be covering. 6th grade gifted math covers all of the 7th grade and 8th grade math standards for Common Core that are not algebra standards. So in 7th grade gifted math, they will then take algebra as a full year course. 8th grade gifted math will be taking Algebra 2, and then as a freshman, they still have to take geometry honors or geometry at LHS, but then they don't have to take Algebra 2, they can jump straight into the pre-calculus courses. So that's the way that this is all set up. So their book is a 7th grade accelerated math book. They have a workbook at home with chapters 1 through 4 in it. Once we get through that workbook, they will get a volume 2, which will have the next sections in there. I will be supplementing in any 6th grade standards that are not covered in that book because it thinks they already know them. So for example, this chapter I've substituted in absolute value, and we're going to substitute in the coordinate plane, and then they do the rest of that through the 7th and 8th grade. So they will be covering all of 6th, 7th, and 8th grade in this 1 year. For the applications of learning that we use in school, I do a lot with communicating and working together in here. So they work on teams, they communicate because I'm teaching like I would teach my normal class. This is me in my classroom right now, and I'm teaching on my board, and I have my students up on a screen, and I'm looking for their hands raised, and I'm looking for them to be participating with me in class every day. So you'll hear me calling on them and things like that if you're home with your child. The other thing that's big is that with the Common Core and the standards that are being covered in NOT, some kids know them already and some kids don't. You're coming in from 4 different elementary schools. Some did the enrichment, some did the gifted at the elementary. So this is something that I have a pre-test that I'm giving for every topic or every chapter. And with that pre-test, it's based off of sections. So if somebody aced out of, they knew all the questions on section 1, they're gonna work on an enrichment page while I catch up their classmates. So nobody's being held behind still. There was another day that I had 3 meets going on in one class because these kids tested out of this content and these ones tested out of this content while I was trying to teach and catch up the other ones. So there is still a lot of teamwork and working together in here, and we are still doing as much as we can to make it as I would in my normal classroom. So they are still getting enrichment and they are still being pushed if they know the content already, but I'm not gonna move ahead without catching everybody else up, okay? Other things to know, just make sure that if you're absent, you check Google Classroom. All my notes will be posted on there, and you let Student Services know that you will be absent. There will be homework nightly. If you are doing the gifted and enrichment work because you knew the content already, then that's a separate sheet that you would have in Google Classroom. If I'm teaching you the lesson and I'm catching you up, then you would have the Math Excel homework on the website. The Math Excel homework does get pushed out to everybody, so if somebody wanted to practice, they can, but if you have an enrichment sheet, I'm not expecting you to do double the work. So you would just do the enrichment sheet or the Math Excel assignment. Also, they have a CML practice, which they've had that already this first week. I give it on a Monday, whether I see you or not. It'll be pushed out in Google Classroom. It'll be due by 3:35 on Friday, again, whether I see you or not. I check the answers throughout the week. So if kids are working on them and they're like, hey, can you check these if they're right? Yep, they're good, move on. Or go back and check these and try to move on. So I do help check those throughout the week if they need to, but that's just a 6-point assignment. There's 6 questions. That's what they'd be working on. A little bit about student success, making sure they come in and get help during office hours, during student assistance. That's 3 days a week that I could be helping them, whether it's with their CMLs or their nightly homework. Making sure they're checking the websites. There are 2 different math contests the 6th grade gifted kids take. We're hopeful that we can still do them, the CMLs and the AMC, because they get certificates and pins, but we're still not sure how that's gonna look virtually, but just giving you the heads up on that. making sure they access the website. On my website is a calendar, but the Envisions Mathematics website is their book, and that is linked straight to Google Classroom. And then their book does not need to have a login because it's linked to Google Classroom, which is awesome, and they have that workbook at home. And then lastly, if you need to see me at all, please set up a time during office hours or just send me an email. I'm very good about responding to my emails promptly, and I'm totally happy to help you with anything at all, okay? Went over a little bit on the 5 minutes, but I hope you guys have a great curriculum night, and let me know if you have any questions.